Joining me now is Sheriff Stacey Kincaid of Fairfax County, Virginia. Within recent years, Fairfax County has introduced treatment and diversion programs across their adult detention centers in response to the opioid epidemic. I'm looking forward to hearing more. Sheriff Kincaid, I'm so excited to talk to you because I just want to be honest. You're very special, and the things that you're bringing into this conversation that you're trying to do to respect people that you're dealing with within the prison system or people that are coming in for a first encounter, you're doing things that I don't see happening much elsewhere in the country that I hope does take root. But why don't you share with us the unique dimensions that you, as the first female sheriff of Fairfax County in, I guess, 279 years, are doing it a little bit different than your predecessors have?
So good afternoon, and thank you for having me on your program. We do things very different in Fairfax County, and what we're doing to combat the opioid use disorder, as well as all addictions, is we've got a program that we've implemented called our STAR program, Striving to Achieve Recovery. This program is it's intensive, it's highly, it's authentic, and it's designed for individuals who have been chronic abusers of drugs and alcohol. And what we do in this program is we work with individuals. It is a program that's led by certified peer recovery specialists. And also we have support from the behavioral health and medical professionals. And this program allows the participants to hold each other accountable as well as hold themselves accountable. So it's a different way of approaching addiction. And we recognize that you have to talk the talk to be able to walk the walk, so to speak. So by allowing this to be something that's very authentic, something that has never been done before, what we have found is that this program works, and we're very happy with the results that we're seeing.
I want to ask you about another program in a moment, but first, I'm trying to get my head around how most prison systems in the country work, because if you're honest and you kind of scratch beneath the surface, there is opioid availability in prisons, and there's use in prisons, and there is a treatment challenge. And if you're honest and look at a lot of these prisoners or those in the justice system don't receive the support. And I'm trying to figure out, are they not receiving support because the sensitivity is not there, the resources aren't there, or is it because these prisoners are looked down on, there's a stigma, and so that the health system is actually not trying to accommodate, which is another form of impunity in my view. But I'm just interested in what that picture is.
So I can't speak a whole lot on prisons because I operate a jail, which is a temporary holding facility. We can have individuals locked up for hours to maybe 1 year or 2 years. It depends on when they are sentenced. And if they're sentenced to state time, they go down to the Department of Corrections. What I can tell you in jails specifically is that maybe there's some thought that individuals are not going to be incarcerated long enough in order for them to implement a program that's designed to help. And you brought up a good point about punitive. When someone comes into jail in Virginia, they are already enrolled in Medicaid. They lose those Medicaid. Their Medicaid is actually suspended while they are incarcerated. So as you mentioned, punitive. The other thing about punitive is that when a jail or when a prison does not treat the symptoms of one during withdrawals, what they're doing is when they only treat the symptoms, of those with withdrawals, this is cruel and unusual as far as I'm concerned, because what they should be doing is providing some type of medication-assisted treatment in order to make this humane. So.
That's a powerful statement you just made. I really appreciate it, your candor. You have another program that I've been reading about and doing research in, which I also find, Mark Crossley from Indivior just mentioned this being Mental Health Awareness Month. And given that, and you're on the front line of this, and I sort of think we ought to have Mental Health Awareness Year, with all due respect, keep this on our radar all the time. But I guess the question I have is, you have something called Diversion First. Can you share with us what that means? And so that folks that may not have the normal contact with our justice system, what are the choices you as a keeper of law and peace and providing security. What are the choices you have when somebody comes into your system?
Right. So Diversion first began in the sheriff's office before it was implemented. That is a program that's designed to offer alternatives to incarceration for individuals who come in contact with the criminal justice system. For individuals that are considered to be low-risk offenders, they're given the opportunity to be assessed and evaluated at our Marietta Crisis Response Center to see if there's an opportunity to turn them back over to their family, to get them into a psychiatric hospital, to get them back on medication. And if none of those are available, then they come into the adult detention center, and we have an opportunity for post-diversion. And that's done through the work with our courts, our partners, our judges, my staff, certainly the defense attorneys and the Commonwealth attorney. And if there's an opportunity to put them on a supervisory release program, that's what we do. So we give them an opportunity to not be in jail. And frankly, what we do find is these low-level offenses, people that are trespassing or people that are actually sitting on a watermelon at a grocery store, these individuals don't belong in jail. They need help. And because we continue to be the default for the medical system, the behavioral health system, this is what it becomes our job. It becomes part of our job. And we do this because it's the right thing to do to ensure that we get people the help that they need and the treatment they need. So then when they go back into the communities, that they have a better chance to succeed.
Sheriff Kincaid, I'm going to ask you a personal question because you initiated this Striving to Achieve Recovery program, the STAR program, and it's unusual, and I think it's very humane from what I know you're trying to do. But I just am interested in what got you there. Was there a personal experience? Was there something in your profile, your friends, your experiences that helped you innovate in a system that often isn't innovative?
So thank you for that question. When I was a young deputy sheriff back in the 80s, and I had the opportunity to work in the housing units in the areas where individuals would come in that were withdrawing from drugs, mostly heroin. We see people at their very worst every single day, but to see somebody going through withdrawals and only treating the symptoms like with Tylenol or, some other, vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, to see somebody go through withdrawals is probably one of the most inhumane things I have ever seen before. It's traumatic. And of course, when a female would come into our custody and she was pregnant, then of course she would get put on methadone in order to protect her unborn baby. But that really throughout the years, and you meet people throughout all walks of life, which I have, and just to see people that I know that we could deserve, they do deserve better. It's just the right thing to do. And we're talking about human capital. And why wouldn't we want to do the right thing?
So tell us a little bit about folks that exit the system. And we just saw this powerful, it was actually the sponsored content with Divya, but this powerful story of this young man. And the picture is that around this young man, for him to get on a different course, it took an ecosystem, it took family, it took a lot of other pieces, it took medical care. And I'm just wondering if we're giving enough attention to that dimension as people, because I've heard stories where parents want their child to go to prison and child because they believe that will help save their life. And it just sort of asks the question, what are we getting wrong outside that prison that we need to get right to help people become functioning, constructive parts of society and to get, I don't know, beyond, like I was just discussing with a congressman, get beyond the stigma that keeps all that from happening.
Right. So you bring up several good points, and a lot has to do with breaking down the stigma. And even when it came to what are we going to name this program, this recovery program, I allowed the participants to choose the name because this was their program, not my program. And they did have something about stigma and about addicts in the STAR. I don't remember if it was, addicts trying to achieve recovery, but taking the stigma out of it And let's talk about recovery. And for the families that are at just, the tough love, we're done, you need to go somewhere because you need to be punished. You need to, I think it comes down to there are no resources. I also believe that you have to have the right people involved when you are treating individuals that are incarcerated, even when they're not incarcerated. But in our jail, their drugs and alcohol are not available. So historically, we would release individuals that were recovering addicts. And now we're actually releasing individuals who are in recovery. The individual who, what a powerful story that the gentleman had about, there not being any resources. And I can tell you that I've gone into the housing unit several times. It's not like nothing you've actually seen before, where there's honesty, there's respect. There is the understanding that if I want to be able to succeed when I go back out into my community, I've got work to do. But I think the biggest thing is to, we already know that, there's a problem, there's an issue. So instead of doing all these studies and, and no offense to researchers, it's time to do something about it because we know that we can. But it's getting everybody on the same page and, again, with the resources, with treatment, with funding. That's also a big thing. Not everybody has all these resources to make things happen. But I do believe that there is so much opportunity. And we have been very fortunate that having a program that we consider to be, or should be part of a national model, we've got other jurisdictions that are reaching out to us. And it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about putting in place or sharing information that you have. And again, we realize that one size does not fit all, but take what you want from our program and do what you can with it. But the key thing is, not only having these, the right people available, but also bringing back the families, because families are huge. And with our program, we did bring back the family component, and to be able to see the parents and the interaction that they have, or the spouses or the loved ones. There's just nothing like it to just get back in. And, again, there's a lot of work that has to be done. There's a lot of anger, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of hurt. But the goal is to, try our very best and working with folks to get them back to a healthier and safer mindset, as well as physical, mental well-being, to go back into our communities, which again, make them safer and healthier.
Well, I just want to thank you. I look at these shows as really important opportunities for show and tell. So thank you for joining Show and Tell. Hopefully others will be inspired by the example of what you have done. Sheriff Stacey Kincaid of Fairfax County, Virginia, you're great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.